So Paul Flynn, you're very welcome to the Bulletproof Dad podcast. Thanks for making it in.
Thanks for having me.
So Paul, look, there's a load of stuff to get through today. I'm not going to lie, I've been doing my research on you the last while and I've actually given up with the amount of medals and titles and everything else you have to your name. I actually just scrapped it after a while. I said, right, there's too much to get into there. So just to start this, because there's so many areas we could go, I'd love to go back to young Paul Flynn, who's roaming around the streets of Swords. Can you tell us about him?
Jeez, don't know whether we want to go there. So, yeah, born and bred in Swords, Castle Drive, big family, 8 kids. Yeah, you only live around the corner now. Great part of Swords. Youngest of 8 kids, so it's 6 older sisters and 1 older brother.
Right, that's a good Catholic family
Good Catholic family there. And yeah, great upbringing, you know. Loved it in Swords, very proud Swords man.
Yeah, cool, man.
Had a wild streak in me when I was younger.
Right,
still in there.
Like most people, fair.
It's just contained. And yeah, like I suppose when I look back when I'm younger, probably one of the main things that was always there, obviously family, obviously, you know, friends, but the GAA, like I played every sport.
So who were your clubs growing up then? Obviously Fingallians was the big one for you, yeah?
Fingallians, I played a bit of Swords Rovers. I was a terrible soccer player.
Oh, I remember them, yeah.
Terrible soccer player.
Right.
Played golf, played badminton, played basketball. Kind of played a bit of everything.
Yeah.
But the one thing, and it's all down to, I suppose, the influences inside your own house and your environment and stuff like that. But my parents were so strong on the GAA.
Cool,
They come from a GAA background.
Yeah.
They were reared on the side of a football field.
Are they both Dubs, your parents, or are they from the country?
North County, Dublin, Ballybockle.
All right, yeah. That's the Dulces up that way,
yeah. So we were only chatting there on the weekend about my nana. Like she's dead now, but she like very staunch Ballybockle.
Yeah.
And she used to go to games with an umbrella, and she'd be known. I've been to Moors and Brush, and I've been to different clubs.
Yeah.
And they'd say, "Geez." Speaking to people, and they'd refer back to my nana because she used to be sticking the umbrella out and tripping lads up when she was long. So I know where I got the wild streak from.
Class,
She's a lunatic. So yeah, they were kind of, my mum and dad were just very strong in the GAA. If I decided I didn't want to go soccer on the weekend, for example, they wouldn't care.
No problem.
But there was no way I wasn't going to the GAA. So like that was great part of your growing up because all my mates played too.
Cool. What age were you when you started?
Into the 4 or 5 into the academy. There wasn't any academies really at the time, but we were kind of in 4 or 5. So played a bit of hurling football, you know, and I can't really remember the kind of start of it, but I just remember being there all the time.
How was the hurling skills?
All right. Yeah, actually it was probably when I was younger I preferred the hurling.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of young lads, like, they didn't like wearing the helmet.
It seems to be a big issue. A lot of lads in the gym, their kids say the same thing. They love the football but struggle with the hurling, and the helmet seems to be the big barrier for a lot of them.
Well, the helmets are better now. You want to see the thing we used to have to wear? Jeez Christ. The helmets are much better now, but you just got into it. Loved the hurling, loved the football, obviously. And then like our mates, like there was a core of them who would have been playing like all the way through to my teenage years and younger. And then a lot of our mates we recruited in too who never played. Right. And they just came in, and like so all of my mates grew through my kind of teenage years, we all played in the same
That'd
team.
be all lads you grew up in the streets and in school and stuff, all just kind of amalgamated together.
And you know the way different groups start coming together when you get to teenage years because of secondary school and all that. But we all, like, every one of us played with Fingallians together, bar maybe 1 or 2.
And what age were you then when you started to see like, right, there's a bit of talent here, and maybe the Dublin scene started to come on then? And how far along were you into your career?
Well, when I was younger, I used to always play full back, which was like, you know.
Okay,
it was, and then
the Colossus at the back.
It was just, I don't know how that ended up. We had a very, very good.
You probably
team.
got thrown in there one day and played well, and then you were probably just shoved there for the rest of it, was it?
Yeah, there were just there were more talented footballers who could put the ball over the bar. I was a stopper. I was tough. I was good hands. So probably, you know, it worked. But and I liked it too. So I was happy enough playing there at the start of my career. So yeah, I played there up until around under. I actually did a kind of development squad under 12s.
Okay, so you were in that at an early stage. So
under 12s, there was a competition. They had like regional competition across Dublin, and there were 6. We could have had like 10 players go from Fingallians at that age because we were the dominant team. Us and Vincent's, we were just we're really, really good, really strong team. and you could only send 6. So, but 3 could only go. There was an A and a B team. 3 could go on the A, and 3 could go on the B. And I was on the B team, and I kind of was only on the. Didn't even really start in the games, but then kind of played the second, third, and fourth game, I think, and we did really well. And I played quite well, and from there, I probably realised that there was something going on, but there's plenty to go. Like, you're only a young lad still.
Yeah, and were you kind of within the Dublin scene then from then on, the rest of the years?
There wasn't really a Dublin squad. That was just a kind of a development kind of squad. And then the next big thing is Fail, and we kind of didn't do well in the Fail. It was under 14s and Fingallians. Even though we had a good team, we just didn't perform. But kind of after that, then the development squad starts kicking in from 15s, 16s, 17s, and I was always knocking around it.
And at that stage, say you're at the 16, 17 mark, is there many other Fingallians lads there? Are you the only one from your team at that stage?
Yeah, we had a couple, like, so me and Carl Connolly, who happens to be my brother-in-law.
Okay,
Yeah, we both married sisters, Karen and Fiona. And so we used to like just go together all the time, and Ian Kavanagh playing with Ravens. Right. He was Fingal Ravens. So the 3 of us used to kind of...
So you're not an arch rival, no?
I suppose probably were back then, but like we used to all travel together, the 3 of us. Yeah. And then like there was 1 or 2 other lads, like Ross Kelleher, who would have played a little bit in goals, and other lads kind of came in and came out. But me and Carl, we were kind of always going, and like we... I just remember, like, back to our parents. Both of our parents drove little green Micras, and we'd be getting. Like,
I think everyone had a Micra at some stage growing up in the 90s. Yeah, it was the same.
And we'd be going together to the games all the time. Yeah, so probably under 15s, really, when your kind of development squad gets structured. Yeah, into 16s, and you're preparing yourself then for minor, which is 17s and 18s.
Cool. So you went in, did you do 2 years at minor with the Dubs, did you?
I did 2 years at minor with the Dubs, yeah. And then the first year I didn't really get a look in. Okay.
But you would have been younger, like a year younger.
Yeah, a year younger. Playing. Yeah, but still, it's just, still lads step up, but I didn't really get a look in. They had a very good team. Yeah. And they got to an All-Ireland final. I actually didn't even make the squad when it came to, I think I was on the training squad, and I didn't even make it to the full squad. But then the next year I started midfield, and we got knocked out in the first round, so we didn't really have a great team. Yeah. And then, like, I think there was only 1 lad from that team, me and Michael Savage was the goalkeeper. Okay. Michael Macaulay as well. Sorry, the 3 of us were the only 3 who probably went on then. Yeah.
So talk to me then about going from the step from minor to senior. Like, were you straight in a year later, or
was there 21s then? So when after minor, there was a kind of a year off essentially. He went back, played obviously club, and I think that was the year where I probably had the worst experience of my football in life. We were in the minor final, Fingallians semi-final. Sorry, we had a great little team. Like, that team that was the underage. When we got to minor, we were just we were. Great bunch, and partly because we were all mates.
I think that's the best thing about the GAA, is that, like, you start playing at a young age, and it's all like lads you see every week between school and being on the streets together, and you're all there the whole way growing up together. I think that's just, it's so cool. You get it a little bit in football, but not the same. Like the kind of elite scene in kids football, they're chopping and changing clubs every single year. It's completely different culture. I think the GAA is so special for that. Like, it really is.
Yeah, that's I agree with you. And in soccer, sometimes, like, the door's nearly always open in GAA, so people can come and go. Whereas soccer, they just go and they don't really come back. There's nowhere to come back to, essentially, like, because there's no core kind of community.
It depends on the club and the league and stuff, like, with the soccer, but definitely, like, it's for to be at the top level of the GAA and still to have all your mates around, I think is pretty special, like that. Like, you don't have to leave to another club to go to that level. Like, it's
you can't. That's the beauty. So you can't really leave. But anyway, well, you can, but it's not straightforward. But that team, anyway, we played against a team, Round Towers Clondalkin, who were kind of recruited a couple of lads from a neighbouring club, St James's Gales, and they kind of had disbanded a little bit, and the 2 of the main players, who were probably the 2 best players in Dublin at the time, joined Round Towers Clondalkin, who were already decent, and we went out there to play them away, and we had a cracking game against them. We were getting... it was a great game, and we ended up drawing the game. Could have won, could have lost. Definitely could have lost, but it was a cracking game ball. I'll never forget it. And I had a decent game that game. But then the replay was brought back to Fingallians. So
big crowd,
massive crowd. Like, a big crowd even now. Like I've gone into Fingallians and we might have a big senior game, and there wouldn't have been a crowd like this. It was huge, and maybe my memories just kind of made it bigger, but it felt like it was.
I'm sure it was like a big deal for
at the
town,
time. It was huge. I remember a semi-final of a minor A championship at home. 5 minutes in, get yellow card.
Right.
That's okay. We can deal with that. I was a little bit overhyped at this stage of my career.
Laying down your marker,
I did well at this stage of my career. I had that wild streak that I couldn't control.
Yeah.
And then it was a soft yellow, to be fair, and then the second one was even softer, I felt. And the ref probably had it into me because I was probably an asshole to him at some games earlier on in the year or throughout the years. Stage, and sent me off after 20 minutes. And
what age are you here?
Like
18
17, 18 years of age. Really tough. Like, I remember watching the rest of the game, probably not really watching it, sitting on the sideline with my hands on my head.
Were you in tears?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what I was. I was emotional. Yeah. I remember, I think my sister Neve came over to me, like, but she wouldn't even really go to my games. This shows you, like, she'd never be at my games, yet she was there at this, and she came over to me at the end. There's a kind of vague recollection of that. But feeling like so, well, one, upset, two, disappointed in myself, like lonely. It was just it was a tough place, and mainly because of the fact that, as I said, they were my mates.
Yeah,
I let them down. I let myself down, you know. And now, even after looking back at my whole career, and like, I'm still going playing with the club. It's not done yet, but that was definitely the lowest point. I'll never forget it. And I kind of figured out that I had to learn. Like, I learned a lot from it.
It's a huge lesson. Like,
it was huge. It went the hard way, but it was huge.
Yeah. Right. So, like, you've gone through your youth career, if you like. We're talking now up to maybe the 21 scene. After going through that, you've had your huge lesson there in front of your whole hometown watching, which is obviously big. Talk to me then about the step in. You did 21s then with Dublin. That was the next step.
21 to Dublin was probably where I'm still under the radar at this stage. Like, I'm not like somebody who says, oh, he's automatically going to the seniors. That was definitely not the case. I was still a little bit loose. You're
obviously very aware of this, were you?
Yeah. But maybe wasn't as. Problem was, I was kind of fond of a night out at the same time. I wasn't,
pubs and swords, to be fair.
Yeah, and I wasn't all in, and I probably didn't know what I was. I knew I had talent, and when I focused on it, I probably kind of knew that I could be decent, but I never kind of said, oh, I'm an automatic. This is if I focus on this, I'm going to be a Dublin senior. But then we were in the 21s, and even though we got beaten again the first round, I actually had a very good game. Okay. And the whole senior team were there.
And the setup was literally just one game and you're out. Like, it was
train for probably 6 months. Flat out training. We had like
who beaches?
Mead.
Right.
Yeah. And again, in both games, Laois better than the minor, Mead better in the 21s. And both times we were kind of favourites, and we just didn't play well. Which was disappointing. Like, like a lot of Dublin teams would have got good runs underage and before and after us, but we were knocked down in the first round of both of them. And that's probably partly why so little players made it up to senior, because they didn't get, the opportunity to prove themselves.
Get many games to play, to show yourself off,
So this is genuine as I heard it, because Kieran Duff, like Dublin legend, Fingallians legend.
He's like, doing my research, he's the only kind of name that stood out to me from ex-Fingallians players who kind of had a big Dublin career. Now, I could be wrong here, but he was kind of like, has there been many, like, say, since him, was there anyone else between himself and yourself? Like,
on the lad side, only Paul O'Neill would have played a little bit of league, and a few others. Vinnie Gavin would have played like
on the fringes more so than
21,
the core squad.
But but no, Dully was the only other like one.
Would you have been conscious of this? Like, so, like, I know because I played a little bit with Sills on and off when I was growing up, and like the clubs you always heard of was like, especially north side, it would have been Vincent's, probably Nafina as well, maybe Bridges to an extent, and then there's obviously the south side clubs. Like, were you conscious that, like, when you Fingallians, say you're going up to train in the Dublin trials or training, you've got your Fingallians crest on, are you conscious of that like there's not much of a Fingallians representation in that? Like, do you feel that like you're a bit of an underdog here compared to maybe someone of the same ability that maybe has a Vincent's top or a Nafina top? Is that in your head?
No, it's definitely there. It's not in my head, but it's definitely something that's knocking around. Like, it wouldn't be something that I'm thinking of. Like, at minor level, we were a top team, like, so we were probably we had the right to be there, right? And that kind of carried through 21. So I never really had this inferior complex with some of those bigger clubs because we always used to beat them.
Right. Well, that definitely helps.
Yeah. And we, as I say, we were not all, but like from a club perspective, it's no different with any like North County teams, players in those teams, that you have to really perform to get noticed. Like, you know, you're not automatically in Division 1 and all your senior games.
Yeah.
So no, it is. And it's just a consequence of people looking at the top tier teams and thinking that they have all the best players.
I'm sure there's some, I'd imagine with different underages as well, you probably get the selectors or the managers probably has an association with the club as well, and there's probably politics behind that as well.
Nepotism, that does not happen.
Never in the GAA, no, not a chance.
Yeah, no, there's a chance of that. But like, yeah. So, at the 21s, I didn't have a great game, but I hit a big shoulder, which was a bit of a trademark, right?
What position were you playing at for 21s?
Playing midfield. Okay. And I caught a lad with a decent shoulder, and Kieran Duff, around 2 weeks. Anyway, we got beaten, right? And there was little feedback. There was no wash up. There was no review of it. It was
after
just
6 months of training,
it was just done. I was like, what the hell? Which is kind of difficult too, because you're transitioning out of it. You've built up friends, and that's just it. And potentially that's the end of your career. Yeah. And I kind of start getting the bug now. Like I was going to more Dublin games. I was watching. I was like, you know, starting to think about the game a bit more. And then I was starting to think I wanted to play for the seniors. Like, you know, and that doesn't like when I think back, that didn't really crystallize when I was in minor. I can't remember myself saying, geez, I just want to play for Dublin seniors. But it was obviously there. But when I was 21, I was really thinking about it because it was tangible. I was close to it. I could nearly feel it.
You had the taste and you wanted more,
And anyway, so I hit this lad's shoulder, and Dully said, 2 weeks later, I was called into a trial game with the seniors. They were trying to make up numbers. They did a squad game.
So are you 20, 21 this age?
Yeah, 20. Okay. Yeah, 20. I was 19, 20. Sorry, I was 20, 21 in that kind of year. And remember getting called in and didn't have a great game, but I hit another lad's shoulder, Darren McGee, who was like a unit, 6'4", midfielder.
Is that Johnny McGee's brother?
Yeah, Johnny McGee's
Johnny actually
brother.
trained us in the gym for a while back.
Great blokes. Both of them are great blokes. And I call him blindside, right? So he gathered the ball coming up from over his left shoulder. I came in on the other side, timed it nicely and hit him a lovely dunt and turned the ball over, and we went up the other end and someone else got a score or whatever. But I didn't play great after that. Yeah. Genuinely, worked hard, got on a few balls, played average, below
Would you
average.
have been one of
probably.
the youngest on the pitch? Like
it would have been. There was a few of us brought in for it, but so anyway, I got caught. But after that point, Tully said, like, and Pillar, they were impressed with the physicality. They seen the raw talent, and they invite me back in
here,
and they reckon we can mold this guy. Pillar, Caffrey, in fairness, and Dully. So like, you know, they just seen it, and I just think that like now when I'm even asked about young players now, or I'm asked about, you know, if is anyone going well in your club, or if you played against anyone who's going well, I always look out for like that raw talent, because it's sometimes the rough diamonds that can be just dusted off, or that can be sharpened up, that can be, you know, fantastic footballers.
How would you just, that raw talent you're talking about, if you had to like give it a phrase or a word, what would you describe it as?
I think one word is difficult, right? But I think there's a few like characteristics.
What would the characteristics?
What would the characteristics be?
Label,
right? Okay, so they have to have the right attitude. Okay, and now what does that mean, right? But they have to be willing to work really, really hard, not just on the pitch physically, but also, you know, identifying where the gaps are. You know, having a commitment to growth, essentially having a commitment to getting better.
So gaps in their own abilities and performance.
Exactly. They have to have the raw. I wasn't the best. I had a good strike of the ball, but I wasn't the best kick passer, or I wasn't the best person to take a score. Right. But I could strike a ball. So all I needed to do was just work on it, you know, and just hone it. And that's what I did. I think you have to have good hands, right? You know, it's really hard you can coach it, yes, but in intercounty you have to win primary possession all the time, right?
That was kind of a trademark you for a good few years then, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you look every intercounty player now, like they have to have good hands, you know, because you have to win. You don't get time. At club, you might, you know, if you drop it, you might still have time to gather it. In intercounty, it's about first touch. You win your ball, you move it on, you know, and you have to be able to play in the system. So I think the two big ones for me would be just like the right attitude, tough, and there's a willingness to learn, a willingness to just kind of get stuck in and get
Cool.
better.
Thanks. I know I've gone a bit off point there,
All
but
right,
just keen to how you describe it.
And I love like their characters. I playing Fingallians now. I see a lot of young lads, and they have these characters, and I just love working with them because you're trying to just layer on little bits every session, and you can see their eyes are open, their ears are open when you're talking to them, when they're listening. And then you just see them then doing or trying to do, and you're like, that's what it's all about. It's a journey. Football life is a journey, and it's about just learning.
Could you maybe see yourself going into coaching in the future? Is there something you'd like to experiment at some point? Maybe.
Never thought I would, and now that I'm getting close to the end, I probably will.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and I'll start off probably with my kids, you know, and I'll do a bit down at Fingallians. I got involved a little bit with the Fingallians 21s this year, and really enjoyed that experience. I passed on a little bit more and giving back to the club.
And most this, I'm thinking of if I'm a young lad, like a teenager, and Paul Flynn, the Dublin legends, coming in to coach you. I think like that's a great thing to have access to. Did you have the same with Duffer back in the day? Did he have done stuff with you guys?
I missed him. Like he kind of was in like another generation before me, right? So like obviously my older brother, he would have known all about Dully, and I just didn't get a chance. It's a pity that I didn't get a chance to really see him in the flesh. I seen him play in Fingallians, but he was kind of at the end, but never at in Like I was born in 86, like he was in 80, so I was just a little bit too young.
Exactly, to take it in, similar to myself.
Yeah.
So going back to them, we're talking about you're just literally getting into the senior part of it. Can you remember what did you have a debut in say one of the smaller competitions first, or were you thrown straight in then for your debut into the championship?
Yeah, my debut was against Wicklow in the O'Byrne Cup, and it was around a week before or a week after.
What sort of crowd size would have been at that?
Decent. It was in Parnell Park. You're talking about 8,000 people.
Yeah, good atmosphere there.
Great atmosphere, yeah. And my infamous Nana had just died.
Right, yeah.
And it was kind of nice, but it was sad too that she never got a chance to see me. Even just to kind of see it on TV, because it was on TV or whatever. But it was nice also because it kind of lifted the spirits of my dad and stuff like that. That was kind of something cool that was happening around. It's a very sad time
big
for
time
him.
Should be super proud of that.
Yeah. But so that was the start. That was in 07. Played a few games in the O'Byrne Cup. Played a couple of league games. 08.
Okay.
And then the last league game. So I played them a couple of games in the O'Byrne Cup. They went well.
So in the
league,
the leagues you're going all around the country playing in, you're playing down in Kerry, you're playing in maybe Donegal, but you're going home and away for these games.
Yeah, home and away. Yeah.
So again, be decent crowds at those as well.
You're talking anything from 10,000 to 20 to 30,000 maybe.
Was there anywhere you liked playing in particular outside of Dublin? I'm sure there's a good few spots, but one that you have to put your finger on.
I love playing down in Killarney. With good experience down there one of the years.
Could you stay the night after? Would you make a weekend of it, or are you straight back on a bus? Or?
Unfortunately, we stayed too many. We didn't stay enough, to be honest with you. Or we'd stay the night before the game. You want to stay the night after the game. We had one or two, episodes where we stayed after, and that's what it's all about. The banter, the value you build, even in a team like that, and them nights out.
Would you go, say you were playing Kerry down in Killarney, would you meet those lads the next day then after the game, or is it just more just the dumb lads sticking together?
Never. Yeah, never.
Arch rivals, yeah.
It's bizarre. You just never meet them, even before or after you play against them.
Yeah.
Even in all Ireland finals through the years, you just there's an awkward kind of moment directly after the All Ireland where you go into the same kind of bar, Croke Park, and maybe one beer, and you might say hello, to them, and then that's it. You don't ever see them again.
Would you know maybe some of the lads from, because you went to DCU, didn't you?
Yeah, I was. Some lads would be awkward. I was never awkward. I would always go on with a few lads from college, and you meet them then at different events and stuff like that. Yeah, look, they're all the same. They're if you think about it, you've
loads in common.
Loads in common with
just
them.
different counties.
So it's just that when now that I've left the inter-county scene, I've lost that ultra competitiveness, right? And you just realise you've got a bit way more perspective when you realise what the hell, right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't have been the player that I wanted to be if I didn't have that ultra competitiveness. So I didn't want to be mates with them. I wanted to keep that distance, be respectful always, and I'd say hello to them always. But no, I wanted to hate them, to be honest with you, because it made it easier for me to then do what I had to do on the pitch. So
you gave everything when you hated.
You got an edge, and whatever it takes to get that little bit of an edge, you just take it. So
it's elite sport at the end of the day.
It's elite sport. You cross that white line, it's win or lose.
What's the dynamic then? I think some people are a bit naive with team sports, because people think, teammates together, everybody's working towards a common goal. and like that's great. But like, say you come into that Dublin senior team as a young lad coming in, like you're going into a dressing room there with probably some of your heroes, players you probably were watching stand on the Hill 16 a couple of years previous, watching them play, and like that dressing room is full of human beings. Human beings have egos and insecurities. So some people in that dressing room are probably conscious, like, who's this young lad coming in trying to take my space? Because obviously I play for Dublin, I want to win things and have good teammates, but I don't want to have players taking my space. So like, what's like, as a 20-year-old from Swords going into this sort of melting pot of a dressing room, what's going through your head when you're meeting these people for the first time? Are you nervous? Do you have imposter syndrome going on? Or are you, I want to be here? Like, what's going through your head there?
100% you're nervous, like, you know, and you're so nervous that, I was so nervous the first day that, like, we had the game in David's. I walked in the door, there was a seat on the right, because it was the first seat I seen, and I just sat down.
Right.
And that was a little bit of an issue with the culture back then, where they all had seats, you know, and I sat and I can't remember whose seat it was. It could have been, anyway, they didn't mind, right? But like, it was a bit of a kind of, lads with sticking,
you're putting your place fairly quickly,
place, yeah. And but there's definitely that, like I said, even for like 100% there's guys who are saying, who the hell is this guy, you know? And you know, he's maybe not good enough to be here, or you know, we're going to put him in his place on the pitch, you know, or whatever like that. But that's just a natural kind of,
it's all part of it. You get it in every sport.
And you have to just figure that out, and you have to be able to operate in that environment. And many people came in and weren't able to, and then they were gone, and that's it. And then you just have to be able to go in. You have to be able to shield yourself from that. You have to be able to play to your strengths and focus on you when you're in there. You have to be able to perform under pressure, and that's what makes that's how you get called back. That's how you get, you know. Initially, you get opportunities to play in World Cups. You might get 5 minutes initially, then you have to build it up. It's no different than any. You have to. At that level, there's no room for carrying dead weight. To
me, like, you hear the word mindset thrown around a lot. I think that's what you're saying there is exactly it. Like, I would have played soccer growing up more so in GAA, and like that would have been gone to trials and stuff at, say, the Dublin team and stuff like that. We would have had the Brentford Representation League and stuff like that. And I always remember going, and it's that sort of melting pot where I know, you look back with kind of, you could have done better, and maybe it's the experience, and you often hear people talk about this, they know deep down they could have performed a bit better, but it's just they couldn't get their mindset around the environment and the high pressure zone. And I think what you've just said there is huge. If there was any young lad listening now, I know there's a lot of lads in the gym who will have kids listen to this because they're all big into their GAA. I think if any nugget we get from the rest of this interview, that is absolutely massive. What you're saying there is just fully focused on your own game, and acknowledge that stuff there is perfectly normal. But again, stay focused on your own strengths, your own characteristics. So
that's all you can do, you know, and like, and not try to get into yourself into dreamland. Like, I just said to myself, I'm going to go over, and one thing I can control is I'm going to work harder than anybody else, or as hard as I possibly can. Right, go onto the pitch, and no one ever, you know, everybody loves effort, right? You know, if you're trying to do the right thing,
but you can control that no matter what's going around. You can control your own work rate.
Doesn't matter what's going on, and I carried that through to my whole career. You know, one of the key things, like if you're in a game, could be an All-Ireland final, loads of noise, you drop the first ball. The one thing I could always control was tackle count. I used to always say, regardless of what's going on, you just mightn't be having my best game, but you can impact the game and get yourself into a game and by tackle count. And that's purely based on work rate and your intent. And that's kind of probably been a core foundation of my game throughout. So every player will have their own core characteristics, core foundations. Just figure out what it is and bring it to whatever environment or game or sport or whatever, and you know, you're in.
You just mentioned there about like Croke Park in front of 80,000 people. Can you remember when, like, your first kind of big game where you really felt that, like, fuck, I'm in the middle of Croke Park here, it's a packed house, it's the Croke Park roar? Like, maybe was it a All-Ireland quarter final, or would it have been maybe a Leinster final?
No, it was my debut. It was my debut in
your championship debut.
Championship debut, and it was 08 against Westmeath. Semi-final, I think it was, and I'd missed the first game because in the league game we got a group of us got suspended for, there was a bit of a melee.
Is that the one, that really famous picture is all standing on the hill? That's a cracking picture. I've seen that floating around recently.
So I think that was that year. Sorry, my memory. All the years
Flare jeans were in fashion that year.
They'll be back. They'll be back. I have them tucked away.
You'll have the last laugh in a few years. Yeah,
I don't think so. Get around 4 pairs of jeans out of them, but Anyway, the debut, Westmeath, playing against a guy called Damien Healy, really experienced wing back for Westmeath. Top player, to be fair, and he was in his 30s.
So you were going to run him. That was the plan.
I was going to run him. Yeah. That was the plan, right? And in my naivety, all that week I trained way harder than I needed to. Everything I was doing, I was running up the stairs at home and I was thinking to myself, this is me chasing him, right?
Yeah.
This is me putting him on the back foot, right? By the time the game came around, I was exhausted, right? Psychologically, never mind physically. And he absolutely destroyed me. From the word go, he outsmarted me, he outplayed me, he outran me.
So you felt you were like following him everywhere as opposed to him tracking you?
I was a wing forward, he was a wing back, and I was literally a cornerback. That's what it felt like, just tracking him.
Yeah.
A ball came to me at one stage. It kind of went up a little bit higher. I'd say if I had jumped a couple of inches, I would have caught it. And it went over my head. And it was just a terrible game of football. And I got taken off at half time.
Right, taken off half time.
And there was around 60,000, maybe 70,000 people there. It was back when we used to get big crowds at the first.
Back when Leicester was competitive.
Yeah. And we won. Like, he won the game. And that was steep learning as well. There's so much learning going on at an early stage. But it was lonely, you know. Again, you're kind of saying, come on, like staying in and getting changed at half time, and the lads are going back out, and then you're going out onto the sit on the bench. It's tough.
That's like, you know, there's obviously the emotion of winning, and you're happy with that, but deep down personally, it's probably hard to, you know, you're aware of what's happened like that coming off a half time in a game. You know, something's not right there.
100%.
Did you play any more in that championship then? Or was that?
I played a little bit, but not like, I was kind of got a few cameo roles, but I didn't get, you know, I don't think I started any other games.
Sorry, what year was that now?
08.
So that was with Pillar then,
that was with Pillars last year,
And then Pat Gilroy comes in after that then,
Yeah.
And so that was like, we've actually had Pat do some work with us. He came on and did a seminar with us in the gym, and he's phenomenal guy. It was one of the best hours of anything I've ever done in my life. He came on, we were during COVID and lockdown, and we were able to organise him to come on and give a talk. And he actually came on with Bart, and the two of them gave a talk about the kind of stuff they brought in. He spoke about the first year, the heavy defeat to Kerry at the time, and he just couldn't figure out what had happened. And he met Bart then, and they forged this plan that, to me, seems like it laid the foundation for the next kind of 10 years of success, really. But what he did, he obviously had a big impact on you.
100%. Yeah. So in the winter of 08, when Pillar had just finished, he'd finished up after his term, I was worried. I didn't have a great year. You know, I hadn't shot the lights out. I'm young. Loads of young players get a chance and they don't take it, and that's the end of it. And I'm driving through Raheny with Fiona in the car. We're going off to a travel agent. We're going to book a holiday, I remember clearly. And I get a phone call from an unknown number, and I answer, and it's Pat Gilroy. And pull in.
Did you believe it was him, or were you like telling one of your mates to fuck off? No, someone taking the piss.
Again, probably with such hope that it was him, I believed it. I just wanted to believe it, so I believed it. And he just said, "Look, you know, really impressed with what I've seen of you.
Okay.
Want to build a team around your style of play, work rate, hard work, and really hoping, you know, that you're up for it next year." That kind of level of conversation. And I was elated. I was buzzing. I was just energized now to go back at it. And, you know, obviously there was a lot of proving to be done, because he carried out regional competitions and stuff like that. But the fact that he just said those words gave me the confidence to say, right, this guy's got my back, and he had my back through his whole time.
That's cool. That's really cool. That was the kind of the validation maybe you were looking for. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, validation, just confidence that you're young, you don't know where you're at, you know. And I probably had just about done enough to kind of be a young player who had potential.
So within 2 years then you're All-Ireland champion and you're getting your first All-Star. Is that right?
Yeah. Which is like out of nowhere. Like in 09 I started with Giller. And I actually played all right. Like, didn't really do a lot wrong, but we got hammered by Kerry and changes came, and I was a consequence of the changes. And in 2010, then I didn't play. I played bit role, and I was playing well off the bench, but like wasn't, you know, shooting the lights out again. Absolutely wasn't like number 10 wasn't my position. You know, it was there to be won. I was competing for it, but it wasn't mine. And then 11, I just kind of I nailed it down in the league. Focused on a lot of things after 2010, primarily my skills, making sure that when the opportunity came, I took my score, and when I was putting balls into the full forward line, that they were hitting the man or where they should be going. And
some that struck me, like, over those years, like, obviously he's had an incredible squad, not just with Pat, but obviously then, like, going into Jim Gavin years as well. But like, the internal competition for places must have been insane, particularly in the forwards. Like, you often think that, like, say, I come on as a sub with 15 minutes to go, maybe in the Leinster quarter final, we're 15 points up, and obviously the game is finished. But these are my 15 minutes to show what I can do, because I want to start the next game. That must have been one of the biggest driving forces. Obviously, you've great management and you've good players, but that must have been a huge part of it as well. That internal competition between players, like
100%. And like it's so important wherever you are, like, that you're kind of you're not just motivated to play a game, and you're not just competing against teams on the weekend. That in every training session, you're upping your game, you're getting better, you're under pressure, and that's where we were. We were in a cauldron, like right from Giller's time through. Like, you never let anybody feel comfortable, you know.
So we're talking here now, like it's fascinating, like, just to hear a bit about, like, the Dublin scene. But like, what I'm conscious of here is, like, you're saying about how much work and effort you're putting into your skill set and developing your game. The issue with all this is, like, this is an amateur sport, and you need to have a life outside of this as well. So, like, where are you at? Like, you're going through your 20s here, right? And you're doing so well now. You've established yourself in Dublin. You're a GAA All Star. Everything is going great. What's the story like behind the scenes in terms of, like, what do you do for a career? How are you trying to make time to actually, like, make a living here as well? Like, what were your kind of jobs along the way in that golden period of your GAA? What were you doing, I suppose, for a living outside of it?
Well, when I left school, I qualified as a plumber.
Yeah.
And I did that from...
Did you do a full trade, yeah?
Yeah. Did full trade. I was blessed, actually, to be fair, that, like, I was playing football, and I was playing football in DIT. Right. So I actually played, like, so when I went into the different phase 4, phase 6 of the apprenticeships, I was actually fast tracked. I did my apprenticeship in 4 years. At the time, it was taking some people 6.
Right.
There was just a backlog, maybe 5, like, you know. But then they wanted to get me in to play football, so I got fast tracked. Well, not fast tracked, but it was just kind of, it was right in time when it should have been there. But it was
you were made priority. Yeah,
I was there. I was there. I did it in 4 years. Put it that way, and it was. And I played football each of the years. So
did you go off working on building sites then after that? Or like?
No, when I qualified, I was working with Linsky's Engineering. Eamon Heary, ex-Dub, was a director there. He was the QS director. Great guy. And I remember going up to him in the office just after I'd fully qualified, and I said to him, I'm leaving. I'm going back to college. And so I went back to college to DCU to study PE and biology, and it was literally born out of the fact that, like, everybody in the dressing room in Dublin either had gone to college or was studying or had an office job, and I was coming up to train every day, and, like, it was jaded. Like, I was working hard every day.
What was the schedule like in terms of training? Like, you train mornings, evenings, weekends. What's the kind of standard week?
Yeah, they were all different managers, but, like, you know. When I started off, when I was plumbing, it was Monday in the gym, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Right.
So it was 4 days. But then...
What sort of hour? Like a 2-hour training session?
Yeah, it's all evening. Like, I guess you're there probably, if 7 o'clock train, you're there just after 6. Yeah. And you're not getting home before 9:30, 10, you know, because there's meetings and things like that afterwards. And
what made you choose then that the subject choice you went for? What was the kind of logic behind that? Was it just what you had an interest in?
To be fair, I probably didn't give it enough thought. My thinking was, really, at this point, right, I'm 20 years of age.
You're thinking about your football.
I'm thinking about football. And I was like, right, pick subjects that I'd be passionate about. And then if I could get into teaching, that I'd have the summers off to be able to play football. Right. That's where my head was at.
Cool, yeah. Which is understandable at that age.
Yeah. And I always admire young people at that age who just know what they want. I just didn't know. I wasn't. You know, and but I knew what I wanted. I wanted to play football, and this was going to create the space to allow me to do that, to allow me to focus and to put in the hours that needed to be put in to be able to be the best that I could be.
So you got your degree. Did you go teaching then after that?
Went a little bit like the plumbing. Went teaching for finished off my dip and to qualify fully as a teacher, and I left teaching then. Yeah,
This real world didn't suit you at all.
I just did. Well, I liked some elements of teaching.
Yeah.
I was passionate about
It's a
elements
tough
of it.
bloody job, I'd
Yeah,
say. Like,
yeah, and there was just some other elements that probably, I don't know, I didn't really align with. I think I think if you want to be a teacher, you really have to be passionate about it. You have to be passionate about it. It has to be nearly a vocation, you know. And
yeah, I think most people, like, it is a vocation. I agree with you there. Like, it's not something you get into to get rich as such, you know. Like, it's not one of those jobs. I think it's something you have it within you. You like to see people developing and growing, and like the coaching to an extent, you know. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and I guess I think there's something in me that just probably wants to keep on challenging myself and keep on growing, right? Yeah. And I just had this thing in my head that, like, no matter how hard I work as a teacher, I'm not sure, I can't see a direct relationship between work and progression.
Okay, yeah.
I could see it as more time and progression is teaching. Like, the longer you stay, the more you progress through the ranks. Whereas I was probably a little bit, still am in a hurry, you know, in a hurry to progress. Feeling, and I guess that's probably what I said, okay, maybe try something different. So, yeah. But the period, it was so important, that period of 4 years in college, because I went all in on the college, and I went all in on my training. And I've finished with a first class honours degree, and I finished college with 2 Sigersons, and I really cemented myself as a number 10 with Dublin. Yeah. And I literally had kind of, so for me, when I look back, it was the best period of my life. Yeah. And plus I made some friends and I had some crack, you know, all the benefits of going to college, but it was a really good balance. So it was a formation of my career to a certain extent.
Big time, yeah, I can see that. And like with the Sigerson, like you'd be playing with, would there be lads from all other counties there as well, like playing with you, or was it mostly lads like similar to
we had a core dubs, and then core dubs, and then, like, you know, a load of different counties as well. Because
it was DCU you're in, yeah?
Yeah.
So there'd be a few lads on scholarships and stuff in there as well, would there? Yeah. So you get some good players,
Oh, it was great. I lived on campus for 4 years, and it was fantastic. And it's just the environment, just being around, like, you know, like I live with Michael Murphy, who Donegal legend,
just retired. He's just finished up, and
we were in the same course. We're best mates, hanging around each other all the time, learning from him, bouncing off him, you know, just going kicking, you know, going to the gym.
Yeah, probably one of the best players you could probably learn off for kicking the ball over the bar. Yeah,
exactly. And we did loads of kicking together, and even throughout that time, Bernard Brogan was a good mentor, good mate of mine, but he was a good mentor in relation to kicking the ball. And Pat Gilroy was the catalyst of all that, because I remember he used to bring me out to DCU with Berno, and it was. I'm an intercounty footballer, and at this stage, right? But I had to be so humble, right, to realise I could not kick the ball good enough to play wing forward, right? Because the lessons we were doing were elementary, right? It was bringing it back to basics, tore things back to the most simplest.
This was Pat's approach, was it? Yeah.
With me, one-on-one with me and Bernard. And Bernard was like shooter, and you know, and Pat was, you know, getting into the mindset side of it. And it was you know, it was definitely a period for my growth. And then it was supported by having Mick Bohan, who was a coach with DCU at the time, and he was all about skills and technical element of it. But really, the mindset element of it with Pat was so powerful for me, because I used to play the game at 100%. Everything was just full intensity. Yet, when it comes to striking the ball, you have to get yourself into the 80% zone. You know, you have to dial that back.
That was what you actually worked off. So 100% trying to win the ball back, and then when you're in possession, it's like take a breath.
It was 3 phases. So three phases. First thing, it was composure. Yeah. So the minute you get the ball, compose yourself, right? Second phase was...
What does composure look like? Is it taking a breath? Is it settling the body? Or is it a stance?
Initially when I was doing the drills, when we were starting, it was taking a hop.
Okay.
So it was just to hop the ball, because that does slow you down, slow the head down, slow everything down, and it was a trigger to just say we're composed here, right? Okay. And then we were able to take that away by just a breath or just a step. Sometimes it was just an extra step to be able to get that, you know, to get your balance, but also just to get your balance physically and mentally, essentially. Yeah. The second phase was about contact, and we worked on each of these 3 separately.
I'm laughing because there's lads probably playing football 30, 40 years who've never broken down the process of actually kicking a ball before. You know,
we don't do this in GAA.
No, just kick the ball. Yeah,
I think to be fair, I think in soccer they do it better. Like I used to love playing soccer with GAA with soccer lads, because I just felt they strike the ball so well.
Yeah.
Anyway, In second phase is all about contact, right? Hitting the ball off the sweet spot of your foot, essentially. And the boots are designed to have a sweet spot now. You know exactly where it is. Just
that little spot on the predators,
exactly. And just focusing on it, and just regardless of the outcome of the shot, just focusing on getting it off the sweet spot. And after a while, you would just know by feel.
What was the third step then?
And the third step was follow through.
Right.
So it was about just making sure you didn't stop on it. You just followed through. It's like a golf swing.
And where it lands, it lands.
And where it lands, it lands. And I would, I was keeping my head down after the follow through, and I wasn't even looking at the post when we were doing drills. And I just knew the minute I hit it, that's point, wide. But it didn't matter if it was a wide. It was about the process of kicking.
That's class. Yeah, just breaking it down.
Exactly.
Again, I think it goes back to what something I said earlier: to control the controllables.
Yeah.
Like that's fascinating. So listen, that's a great insight. Again, it'd be people listening to this again, trying to be out with their kids now tomorrow. Compose yourself, shouting at them, compose yourself. So like, what I love to talk to you about now is like, after you qualify as a teacher, where's the next step after that then for you, just in terms of career path?
So funny enough, I went and I did. I went around and met a lot of pharma companies around going into pharma sales. And I had a biology degree. I was, I was kind of qualified to kind of get in at entry level. But it was in the middle of the recession. It was a difficult time. There was a lot of companies under pressure at the time. Not a lot of hiring going on, and so I ended up not getting into that space at that time. Funny enough, come 360, I'm nearly back there now. But so I ended up going into Aer Lingus. I went into HR in Aer Lingus.
All right,
great experience. And they're working on an employee engagement program that they had.
You must, like, between the teaching and that, like, you probably have a good interest in people, so do you? Yeah.
HR and teaching, I do see,
that doesn't really like
relationship.
That's definitely more. I'm the exact same as you. But I think it's more, I remember watching like a Jordan Peterson thing, he says about like men in general are more interested in things and it's women are more interested in people. And if that's the case, so be it. But I'm definitely an exception to that rule. I don't disagree with it, but I just think that was what he's saying,
Touch with our feminine side, which is fine.
That's all good,
But yeah, so that went in there. I was there for 2 years and I was actually really lucky with the exposure I got in that job because again, entry level, but yet there was it was a core project. It was a difficult project because heavily unionized organization and employee engagement.
They worked there for 35 years. So
great organization and fantastic people in. I like still meet people. I got to move around the whole organization through this role.
It's a joy of a big company like that. You can have different roles and like that. There's a lot going on there.
Loads going on, and so that was a great experience. Really enjoyed it, and then I got headhunted, which I didn't even know what headhunting was, by a headhunter.
Right.
After the second year, Lincoln Recruitment, and I went in there then. I was there for 4 or 5 years.
So you're doing all this while you're winning All Irelands and All Stars, yeah?
Yeah. So when I was in Aer Lingus, brought me up to, I think, 2014 maybe. And
do you need an understanding boss, like when you're turning around saying, listen, we've got these games coming up, or like say, what's it like say the week you win the All Ireland? Like have you a week booked off work just in case you win it, or what's this?
You do need to have an understanding boss. I think everybody's different. I never tried to treat it as some sort of general rule of thumb. I just tried to think about myself. And again,
surely it comes up in an interview. You're going to get a job somewhere, like they're aware you're playing with Dublin and you're going to need a certain amount of time for this, and they know you're not going to give that up. Whereas like trying to get maybe the full 40 hours a week out of you might be hard when you have all this going on. Or did the football team manage to kind of leave those 9 to 5 hours Monday to Friday alone? Were you able to?
Yeah, no, Did
they clash much?
They never. Only in exceptional circumstances would they clash with it. Training was always either before or after work. But I guess what I was about to say was I would always have never given an employer a reason to doubt that I wasn't doing my job. So when I was there, I was fully there, and I was quite good at compartmentalising work and football, and just being all in when you're in work and trying not to drift, and when you're training then just forgetting about work and going all in.
Being present.
And equally when you go home, then try to leave both of them behind and just focus on being a husband or whatever. So I think that's really important, but like I never had an issue with it because I always used to work hard. And
what's the conversation like? Say the boss, say you're going to play an All-Ireland, it's Friday and you're going off to play an All-Ireland final on Sunday? Are you like, I might need next week off, I'm not sure yet, or I might be
listen,
in?
it was a given, you know.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that all my employers were into the GAA.
Yeah, that definitely
So
helps, yeah.
you know, and they would have equally derived value from me being involved in it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, so it was never an issue. Just take some leave, you know.
Were you conscious then, like, because say you're back in your 20s, back studying again, like, and do you see your mates, say your mates in Swords, for example, who aren't playing into county, like they're obviously pushing on with their careers and progressing and stuff like that? Was that in your head at any stage, like that you're like back studying again when maybe you're seeing some of your other mates going off and developing their careers?
That was hard. Yeah. When I left diploma, I was earning good money. I fully qualified, and I was it was but it was a long-term decision. Yeah. And looking back now, like it was because back then it wasn't a straightforward decision to make, you know.
You know, Garen, like at that stage you hadn't won on Ireland yet, or you hadn't got the All Star. None of this was guaranteed. Like, you know, it was a real big leap of faith. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like when I left school, it was a kind of a decision that was 50-50 whether I was going to do a trade or I was going to go to college. And probably when I got into the trade, I kind of still had this crawl for going to college. Yeah. So it wasn't that difficult a decision. It was probably at the time, you know, financially it was going to put a bit of pressure on, but I had saved up for it. I kind of tried to prepare. And it was easier being kind of involved with the county at the time.
And say, like with the county, obviously it goes across, championship goes across the whole summer. Like I'm sure you're missing out on, there's probably holidays with the lads there. There could be, there's weddings. Is there all these little events that are popping up that you just have to say no to because you have to look after yourself with what's coming up? Like
big time. And like
there's a lot of sacrifice there, like, isn't there?
It's sacrifice. I don't like using that word when it comes to it because it's like, what are you sacrificing? Like, you know, it's just a life choice. You know, it was a choice that, like, you're doing something that's selfish. Like, it's about, you know, you want to get better. You're going high perform. All high performing athletes are selfish, and sacrifices is a strong word because it feels like you're kind of giving up on. You're missing something out and something else. Whereas I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. You know, I was like getting to live a dream, you know, to be
absolutely
able to be in this environment. So I think other people around me probably made more sacrifice than I did, like, you know. But one thing I did do was probably, and like wrongly, I just kind of went all in on it, and I probably didn't stay as connected to my mates as, you know, I could have or should have, you know. I'd
imagine you're kind of it's a bit of a bubble, I would imagine, to an extent. I know, like, probably not as much of a bubble as maybe full-on professional sports where you're literally doing that and nothing else. Like, I suppose that is one of the benefits of the GAA, that you have a job outside of it as well, you know, which probably helps to an extent. But you probably have to do what you did in order to get out of it. And I'd imagine if I sat down with most of the lads you played with at Ada County, they'll probably say something similar. Like, I think
well, I had to do it. Everyone's different. Some people are able to maybe, but I just had to go all in on it, and that's what I felt was the way I was going to get the best out of myself if I just went for it.
Well, look, like, if Carlsberg did GAA careers, like, you're right up there, you know, you can't argue with that.
And it wasn't straightforward. Like, I wouldn't, you know, there's some players who've abundance of talent who just, like, you know, when they have maybe won a couple of All Irelands or a couple of All Stars, you say, yeah, you can see that. But like for me, it wasn't straightforward. Like, I had to kind of work for every minute of it, every minute I played.
When did you know it was time to retire then?
When did I know it was time to retire? I guess it was coming to a phase where I wasn't getting game time. I could feel that the body was creaking, you know. It was creaking. It wasn't like a feeling. Like I'd had back surgery and I'd had a groin surgery in 2 years in concession. And the back one kind of scared me the most because I got a thing called foot drop, whereby my foot essentially went palsy. I was playing a game of Fingallians out, and actually Danny here in Prime was playing with
I
me
call him
the day.
Producer Danny. Here, you call him, do you make you call it Captain, does he?
I call him Skip,
Skip,
right,
okay,
main man.
Just for context, Danny is the captain of the Fingallian senior team, for anyone listening to this not knowing what the hell we're talking about right now. And it's his cool studio we're sitting in right now as well.
Yeah, but we were playing a game out in Portmarnock with Fingallians and Sunday morning. And I played 20 minutes. Went out actually in the warm-up, I went to solo the ball with my left foot, and the ball went forward. Yeah. I was like, what's going on here? And when I was running, my foot was kind of catching off the back of my calf. And I was like, I haven't got full power on my foot. I played around 20 minutes of the game, really worried, made a few runs, no power, came off, sat like kind of really worried on the sideline, thinking, what the hell's going on? Next morning, went in to see a back specialist, and he said I had got a thing called foot drop, which is where your foot goes, you lose up at the canal, at a kind of a nerve canal at the top of my glute. It had the nerve had been blocked, had been impinged by a bulging disc, and to the extent that it lost power in the foot.
Wow, yeah.
And I had to get operated on straight away.
Okay, yeah.
That didn't leave. That went in for a checkup. Went out. Well, didn't leave. Had to get operated on.
Did you try and go back after the surgery to play again? Like,
I went back. Actually, the surgery went so well. And like right now, like I'm sitting here, I'm still comfortable. Like I'm still playing ball. It's still manageable. But if I up the gears too much, I feel it, and I just need to be very careful of it. But when I went back, I was actually flying. I probably hadn't had the best couple of years before the surgery. When I came back, I was like a new man, and I was buzzing around the pitch. But I probably came in too late. I missed the whole league. I played every championship game as a sub, and was making an impact. Scored off the bench in all the games. That was a good year. I really enjoyed that year. I ended up that was 18, I think, and then 19. Then it just started kind of going downhill a little bit. It was just a case that wasn't really working out. I wasn't getting game time. Probably body wasn't behaving itself, and there was a little bit of both. And then at the same time, Fingallians were in Division 1, and I wasn't even getting a balance to be able to play with them. Okay. If I had been able to play with them, it would have been an outlet. I would have continued, training away, but I couldn't.
Did you really miss that, like when you couldn't play with them?
Remember, we were playing a game when I knew it was like I was psychologically done, which is like me. As going back to, there's a bit of a trend here. I need to be all in, or else it's just it's not. You're not going to get the performance you want. We were playing against Roscommon, and I put out a good pre-season. It was really the second game, and I actually went to a personal trainer for Brian May for the whole pre-season, off-season, and got down. It used to be around 11 to 12% body fat. Got down to 8.89, right? Let's say I was lean, right? I was really lean, and came back, was winning the runs in January. I was flying, and just assumed I was going to be starting the first league game. Didn't play the second one. And the third one was away, I think, to Roscommon, or maybe the fourth. But didn't play in any of the first few games. And I wasn't starting against Roscommon away. And I just went, like I said, look, we have a big game against Moors, local rival, on Sunday morning. I want to play that. I don't want to go down and like sit on the bench for 10 minutes. And anyway, they wanted me to go down. And I remember, like, right up until the game's on in the morning, and we're like in the preparation room, we're all chilled out, everybody's just about to get ready for the team meeting, and I'm there like getting updates from the club to see where we're at. And we ended up losing that game or drawing, one or the other. I think we lost it by a point, a goal in the last play or something like that. And I was saying, oh my God, we're in Division 1. Every win is critical to stay up.
You felt you could have been there having an impact.
Yeah. And that was kind of, and like, so that blended in with the body and not playing. I was just like, it's no time for me. So I continued to try and go at it. Wasn't making any inroads, and psychologically I was kind of out there, and physically I was under pressure, and just felt I wasn't going to be adding value, and I just felt I could add value better in the club. So, so at the time it was probably straightforward for me, because I just felt, look, if I'm not adding value, if I'm not all in, just let someone else take the opportunities. Young lads who'd be much happier to kind of go at it.
I like your style. Like, again, I know there's that kind of, everyone has that crossroads. Do you go as a senior player and maybe do a bit part and be part of the squad and coach? But based on what you're telling me there, in your mindset and attitude and approach to everything, it didn't suit me.
And now hindsight, like, I look back saying maybe I could have stayed for another 4 months just for the CM season.
Another medal, maybe. Yeah.
But I know back then it wouldn't have meant anything to me because of my mindset. But now it probably would have been, more straightforward.
So speaking of the phrase "all in," you've retired, and then it's time to start a family. Yeah. So you go and you become a dad, and it's twins, yeah?
Twins, yeah.
Yeah. Was that on the radar? Like, have you twins in either family or
no?
What? How low did your jaw hit the floor when you found out you were having twins?
Oh, jeez. It was, I'm trying to think back now to when we found out.
Obviously, it's great news. You find out you're expecting.
It was amazing. To be honest with you, like I was buzzing from the start. Fiona was more under pressure. Like, she was more worried about it than
I don't blame her, to be honest.
I don't know. I was just thinking that, like, it'd be novelty. It'd be pretty cool. That's the minute I heard it. I was like, this is really.
So you have a boy and a girl, are twins.
Boy and a girl.
And what age are they now?
They're 2. Yeah.
Cool. And are they very similar? or are they personalities very different?
Chalk and cheese.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what way? Is there one quiet one mad one? Or?
Well, he's a lunatic. He's a
stereotypical boy style,
and she's just like her mother. She's caring. She runs around minding me and minding, like she's 2 years of age, minding Louis. And
I have a similar dynamic at home as my daughter.
It's crazy. Like it's just, and they make you think about life, like, you know, because like, you know, they're just so different. Like they've got the exact same upbringing. They've got the exact same environment. We've been the same to them, you know.
It's that nature versus nurture thing, isn't it? Like it's a fascinating thing, and
fascinating watching two of them grow up together. You say, how is that the case? They
literally share the
all she wants is pink things. Right? Yeah. All he wants is blue things and play football. And I'm just saying, like, we did not force that in any way whatsoever.
I see a similar home scenario as well. Yeah.
So it's bizarre, but it's deadly. Like to be honest with you, it's been transitioning from the game is not straightforward, right? When you're all in on something and you take it away. I was then lucky that I went straight into being the CEO of the GAA for 3 years.
Sorry, we pushed over that. That was a big step,
It's not the kind. It's kind of like it was kind of a lovely ramp out of the game.
Yeah.
Some players when they finish, it's like falling off the edge of a cliff because it's gone.
Yeah. But you probably did work like that with the GAA, did you? Like
career transition programs. Yeah. And so I was aware of it. But
that's a podcast in itself. I'd love to go down that another time. Maybe
it's really
cool, interesting.
Yeah. But I was aware of it, but it was still not straightforward. You have to just kind of manage yourself through it because it is a massive gap, right?
But say for you, like, because I struggled when my daughter was born. Like, I would have been very in my routine with my nutrition, with my training and stuff like that. Like, you're a whole other level as an elite athlete playing with Dublin, and then you having twins as well. It's not just like where you have one where you can kind of take turns. Like, so that must have been a huge upheaval for you from being used to be super routine and everything you did, and now all of a sudden it's like you're handed twins and you're 100%. Like trying to survive hour by hour, never mind day by day.
And that's where like I kind of struggled for a period, and then when I had the kids, it made it easy to be honest with you, right? So I struggled from and when you're as I say, go back, you're selfish as a high performing athlete.
You have to be,
right? Everything you do, the minute I woke up was about exactly say my nutrition. My gear.
When someone asks you to do something, you have to kind of immediately think, how is this going to impact me? And
exactly.
Career? Yeah.
You got kids. All the time. You have to be selfless from the minute you wake up in the morning. Yeah. Who eats first? Who do you tend to? That's like, it's an entire flip, but it was perfect for me because it allowed me to kind of go all in on being a dad and then like filling that void, and you couldn't fill it any better. You know, So a perfect time for me, and I've been actually loving it since.
Cool, and loving it so much that you decided to go again. Then
that one slipped. That was a.
So when you found out you're expecting the second time, how old were the twins?
They were they weren't one.
Right.
I can't remember what age they were. Maybe.
So obviously, it's great.
They were one. Yeah, they were.
It's great
they were 14
news again.
Months. Sorry, they were 14 months.
You're up to your neck in nappies and
it
water
was
wipes and
a
everything
shock,
like that.
To be honest,
you must be like, please don't be twins again, are you?
That one hit us really hard. It was like difficult. Like my both of us were like, oh God, how are we gonna do this? And my wife was like, here a bit harder, and then I had to try and be stronger. But even though deep down I was saying, what? How are we going to figure this out? Practically thinking, like,
you've changed with the third, you're changing cars, you're changing everything. Like,
we're like, what do you push? Like, there's no, like, how do you push a buggy? Like, how do we have to treat them? Do you bring them to a shop? Like, everything changed on that one.
There'll be people here with small kids, listen, but maybe 4 and 5 kids, but like to have 3 kids, what age were the twins when their third was born?
14 months. Yeah, 14 months.
So you 3 kids, 14 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was like, so they're like
triplets. There's all in, and then there's that. Like, that's a whole other level.
It was crazy, but like you just figure it out.
No
that's
other
what
choice.
I say,
you just get on with it. Yeah.
Someone said to me before, I was like, really successful fella I met. He lives in New York. An Irish guy went over there and just dominated his space over in New York, and it was at a leadership talk they was doing one time, and he was talking about like leadership and everything. He goes, the hardest leadership you ever do is parenting. He says, because like everything else is always like no one guides you through it. No one tells you what to do.
No instruction manuals,
You just don't instruct. You're given a child and you just have to tend to and figure it out. And like I remember when I never really resonated with me until I had kids. I was like, this is crazy. You can't get your head around.
You have to go through it. Yeah. People tell you all the time. Like I'm surrounded in a gym full of dads, and before I had the kids, they're like, oh, you won't know what hit you. You won't know what hit you. And it's like, listen, I'm 30 years old at the time. I was like, I know what life's all about at this stage. I haven't figured it out. And then it's when it comes, it's like, right, oh yeah, now I know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and then it's deadly because you can relate to people then. So like, immediately me and you have something that we can.
It's a bond, and it's like if I asked you like how your kids are and stuff, I would be interested, but I wouldn't have that appreciation, unless you're through the same thing.
Exactly.
So the final thing I want to ask you was like, we've gone through a lot of good stuff there. Like, what's Paul Flynn up to now? Because obviously you were with the GPA, that's finished up now. Apart from changing a lot of nappies and cleaning a lot of bums, what do you do now? Like, what's keeping you busy outside?
Yeah, well, I wish that's definitely we're definitely balancing the game. Put it that way, at home. So I'm busy at the moment now I'm running a healthcare company.
Okay, cool.
Kind of took over it now 2 years ago. Myself and a couple of other guys.
What's it called?
It's called Mobile Medical Diagnostics.
Okay.
And it's the only mobile X-ray service in Ireland.
All right, yeah.
So it brings a mobile X-ray service out into community facilities, where typically them individuals would have to go into hospitals. So you're talking about nursing homes, intellectual disability centres, even houses, or community nursing facilities and so forth.
Is it an on-call thing, or do you go out for special days?
Yeah, it's on call, but like we do both. We go out on special days, or we go when on an as needed, when needed basis.
Very good, yeah.
So we're based now in Dublin, Cork, and Limerick, and we're growing. So it's going really well, thank God. And big learning for me too, to be kind of going in and into a new kind of sector, heavily regulated sector, and to manage quite qualified people. It's been really great learning, great experience, and we're going really well. What size of a
team have you got with you at the moment?
We've 12 staff now, so we're kind of and growing, and so it's going really well, thank God. But it's a grind, and like everything in life, I've just figured out you just have to know yourself first. But I know now that like when you're all in something, you just have, if you want something to work, you have to go all in. And well, I certainly do. I know some people are well able to just juggle different things and be able to
when it's your
deliver.
own business, you have to go all in.
You have to go all in, and thank God we're reaping the rewards now, and it's kind of growing. It's great to see it growing and turn into an organisation and great team. So that's been keeping me really busy. I've been on the road a good bit with that. I'm then involved in a couple of things. I sit on the board of PIETA.
Very good, yeah. How did you get involved there?
I've been involved for years. Back to our mates. One of our mates died by suicide in 2012, and we organised a big fundraiser in Fingallians, actually. Yeah. Huge event.
Did you play with him?
Yeah, he played at Fingallians, yeah.
I'm sure there's a good few listening.
He lived in Castle Drive.
What was his name?
Me, Alan Leach.
Okay, I guarantee there's a good few lads be listening to this.
I did all know him, yeah. Well, not all of them, but a good few of them would know him, Screech. And so that really kind of hit us all hard, and then a couple of years, I was introduced to an organisation called Board Match. Okay. And what they do is they match individuals to not-for-profit boards, and it's for your own professional development as much as anything. And they approached through the GPA at the time, Gaelic Players Association. They wanted to get kind of high-profile players that could like learn, and the charities could benefit from them. Yeah, so it was win-win. So I've been doing a bit of ambassador stuff with PIETA at the time.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And they matched me then to PIETA and joined the board, and was passive enough for the first number of years, to be honest with you. It was
you were in a
taking my career, and all the board meetings were 6. So I actually ended up just sitting on a subcommittee of the board for a good few years. And I was well engaged. I used to attend every meeting, but I just wasn't able to attend the board meetings. But anyway, early this year, I joined the board. New chairperson on. So, and I'm really enjoying that. That's another bit of learning.
Excellent.
So that's kept me busy. And then my wife Fiona and Karen, Cara Connolly's, who I played Dublin minor back to the start of the podcast. They set up a business now.
So what's that about?
It's an athleisure business, right? Primarily for women's clothing at the moment. We'll expand probably further. So we're helping them out too. They're getting off the ground. They've done a great job, just kind of building a supply chain and getting the branding done.
What sort of gear do they do?
Leggings, jackets, hats, and sports bras and t-shirts and things like this.
So if I was a husband listening to this podcast now and I was wondering what to get my wife for Christmas coming up now, that would be a really good thing, wouldn't it?
It would be good. It would be good to support them. Local business, and they're doing really well. They've got
2 girls from Swords putting the work in.
They've done a nice little job. I think. Well, for me anyway, I think back, I was always practical when it came to presents. If I seen something and when I'd be walking by a stall, maybe a little bit more impulsive when I'd see it, I'd get a perfect box for them. But they've designed this Cala box, which is essentially leggings, a bra, and a hat.
Yeah.
And it's a great gift for 85 quid. And I think
where would you get that?
Lovely. Online. So they're
what's the website?
Their website is Cala by Hudson.ie.
Okay. How do you spell it? Just to make sure.
Kala by Hudson, their second name, Hudson.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So check them out on Instagram or their website.
Yeah,
You can kind of support them. So hopefully they can do that. So we're giving them a dig out too in my spare time as well. And next year we're going to kind of give a little bit more focus on it, the four of us, and really try to grow that. So that's where it's. And then after that, then after that, I'm playing for Fingallians still. Loving that at the moment. I've probably got a few more years of me, but I'm gonna go all in on it and look after my body and try to get the most out of it.
Get you down to the fine fitness then after that, yeah.
Got to come down and do a session one of these days, I have to come down and do a session even before that.
I said we've half of Fingallians down there at the moment, so we'll get you down at some point in the future.
Very good, yeah.
Now listen, Paul, thank you so much for your time. You're giving us so much value there. Just to give people perspective, it is 9:30 on a Thursday evening and Paul is here. Myself, Paul and Dan are all here thanks to our very understanding wives letting us get out after we got kids to bed to get here. So Paul, thank you so much for your time. So you're GAA man, businessman, family man. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thanks very much.